We're here to have real conversations with the real people you want to hear from about real topics that you really want to learn. And we're here to help you open up with real thinking. We're here to open up your awareness and help you become the real you. Welcome to the Wake the Bleep Up Show. Welcome to the Wake the Bleep Up Show, and where we have real conversations with real people about real topics you want to hear about so we can help you get into some real thinking. Today, we're joined by my dear friend, my sister from another mother, Erin Birch, who is a transformational coach. She's an entrepreneur. She's been through the ringer and back, and we're here to talk to her and hear her story and how she can help you guys. So welcome, Erin. Glad to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so thrilled to be here with you, Tony.
So
We're
we're
having
gonna dig
fun.
right in. We're gonna dig right in. I mean, you've got a hell of a story. You've got a hell of a story, and the people out there need to hear it. So talk to us a little bit about like when you really first got into entrepreneurship. Well, let me rephrase that. From your jewelry into the real entrepreneurship.
Well, I woke up on my 44th birthday and I did the math. I thought to myself, so if I'm going to live until I'm 88 years old, that means my life is half over. My life is half lived. And that was a huge wake up moment for me. So up until that point, I had been an artisan jeweler for 17 years. I designed my own jewelry, made my own jewelry, and then sold all my own jewelry. And while I loved that, the whole creative side, I woke up on my 44th birthday and what happens to pretty much everyone. So you may be going, oh my God, this has already happened to me. I know what you mean by this. If it hasn't happened to you, it probably will. This may cause it to happen for you. Sorry. Um, but every single person, when they have this realization that they've hit the midpoint in their life or a little bit later, like when you're 20, you think you're going to live forever, and you say things like, when I'm 55, I'm going to travel, like retire and just travel the world. Right. And then suddenly you have this wake up moment and you're like, oh my God, I'm not getting any younger.
Right.
And everybody naturally begins to ask themselves questions. How happy am I?
Mm-hmm.
Am I fulfilled? Am I in love with my partner still? How do I want the second half of my life to be? Right? Is there enough passion, fun, adventure, all the things that are important to you? You start looking at your life and having these realizations. So for myself, when I asked myself these questions, it was kind of like, no, 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 no. So I really thought to myself, if not now, then when?
Mm-hmm.
If I don't make changes in my life so that I have a kick-ass second half of my life, if not now, then when?
Yeah.
And I remember my mom saying we were always on her case because her diet is terrible. She'll have like a bag of microwave popcorn and a Diet Coke for lunch.
That sounds like my mom as well.
Terrible diet, health issues.
Yeah.
So we're always kind of on her case, protein, you need protein. You have to eat, all this kind of thing. And she's so stubborn. And she said, this was back when she was like 74. She said, when I'm older, I'll eat better and look after my health more. And for me, that was a huge wake up moment. I'm like, if not now, then when, Mom?
Right. Right.
So I remembered that on that morning. And this is when the very moment I decided to make all kinds of changes in my life, all kinds of changes. I changed everything, except my kids. I kept my kids. Everything else changed.
I think
I took my own joy and happiness into my own hands. And I realized if I wanted the lifestyle that I wanted, the lifestyle of freedom and flexibility and travel and all of this stuff, and didn't want to have to work until the day I died, then I would have to start my own business where I could create that freedom, the flexibility, something I could do from anywhere in the world, And I knew I needed to start making more money so that I didn't have to work until the day I died.
Right. Right.
So that was my venture into entrepreneurship.
Great. That's awesome. And a lot of people have that. And I love what you're saying to your mom. If not now, then when? Because it's one of the greatest things. And as a coach myself, it's one of the things that we talk with our clients about. It's like, look, there's no better time to start than today. Yesterday's the past, tomorrow it's yet to come. You only have today, and there's no reason to put it off. No, procrastination is a real thing, but it doesn't mean you have to live it. Doesn't mean you have to live it. And so now is always the best time. Always the best time. So
You're going to
outside,
age anyway.
yeah,
You're going to
exactly.
be aging anyway.
Yeah. So why not make the best of it? Why not make it the best? Live your best life.
Absolutely.
And so many people walk around just droning through life miserable because they they know but are afraid to try what to do to make their life better. Most people know. If you and a friend of mine, Devin Bannison, he said to me one day, he said, that one of the most dangerous phrases in the English dictionary is "I know," because so many people say "I know, I know, I know," and then still don't do it. So don't say "I know." Be open. Be open to what is coming. Receive what is coming your way. Throw that out of your vocabulary. And so it's fun. So before we get into the rest of your story as far as entrepreneurship goes, what is one of your favorite hobbies right now outside of your boys?
That is such a great question. Well, I'm an avid hiker. When I say avid, I'm not like, doing Everest or
Right.
anything.
That's climbing. That's not
I have
hiking.
no, I have no desire. Like, I'm not your every. I enjoy being out in the woods
Yes.
amongst the trees. That is my happy place. So that is definitely a hobby, walking on the beach. My biggest hobby really is learning.
Mm-hmm.
I am obsessed with learning. Like on a Saturday night, you just might find me learning stuff, training. I'm devouring knowledge in all kinds of different things, mostly to do with the human mind, psychology, all of that kind of thing. But I'm obsessed with learning.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't get enough of it.
Right. Right. So
I would have to say that is my biggest hobby now.
is that reading books? Is that watching videos? All the above, or what is it? What is your go-to for learning?
I will devour like an online course, and then I like to go to an in-person
Mhm.
seminar or training on the topic and do the hands-on work.
Yep.
So a lot of my personal transformation work that I do with my clients, I'm not just reading a book or watching a video kind of thing. It's hands-on, real time, real life experiencing of it.
Right. Right.
And then, I have this thing for accumulating certifications, but certifications where I've done the hands-on work.
Uh-huh.
It's my obsession to be able to meet with somebody and in a very short amount of time help them completely reset how their mind works.
Mm-hmm.
That's my purpose.
Yes. Yes, I believe it is. And knowing you as long as I have, I can see that progression towards that. For those of you who don't know, Erin and I first met in 2019, September of 2019, actually. And I actually attended a training that she was teaching at before we became friends thereafter. So we've been friends ever since. So what led you from jewelry to now helping people rewire their minds? I mean, there's a lot of things in between. What really opened up that to be your passion?
So when I started my business, I was totally freaked out to put myself out there. I had all these limiting beliefs. I believed I was stupid.
Hmm.
I believed had a much lower IQ than the average person, which is not great. Like, how do you play big in life when you believe you're not even mentally capable of it? Right. So that was my big limiting belief, which boils down to I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. So when I started my business, I had a huge desire. Yeah. So when I started my business, I knew what I wanted, why I was building it. That freedom and flexibility and all of that was so important to me. But I also knew that who I was at that time, I was not the person who could build a successful business. I was not the person who would put myself out there enough to be successful. So I understood I would have to become the person who could do this.
Right.
So I started doing a lot of work on myself, and I completely, well, I'm always rewiring my own mind. It's a constant journey,
Hmm.
but I completely changed my thinking, which changed how I dealt with my own emotions. They no longer, take me out of the game kind of thing for long, which changed my behaviors. Your thoughts create your emotions create your behaviors. So I really, really got a handle on all of that. My business started to take off. And then I started having people come to me and ask me to teach them. You're brand new in the industry. How is it you have this successful business already?
Hmm.
Teach me what you're doing.
Right.
So I fell into doing the teaching how to build a successful online business. And then I got clients, and I very quickly realized that you can give somebody a daily method of operation. Here's what you're going to do today and every day. And then they don't do it.
Hmm.
They're not doing it because they don't know what to do, because you just told them what to do.
Yeah. Yep.
So I realized that I would have to be able to help people mentally get rid of their limiting beliefs, work on the mindset so that they could take the action, so that they could get the desired results and outcomes that they wanted.
Yeah.
So I knew I had to be able to help them in that area as well. So that's when I really jumped into learning how to help other people completely rewire their own minds.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're saying stuff to yourself about yourself, that has created your identity. You begin to, I identified as a stupid person.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Lovely,
Yeah.
really helpful.
Yeah. That does wonders for your mindset.
So
That's
yeah, totally. So being able to completely get rid of your limiting beliefs and all the shite from your past that is holding you back will reset your whole identity, and you can rebuild your identity and be anyone you want.
Mhm.
Personal transformation
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
on all levels.
Absolutely. And one of the things I love that you're saying, and that I hope you guys out there listening are paying attention to this, is that it's really about what you're telling yourself about yourself. It's okay to say things about yourself, but things that are positive. It's you're not beating yourself up like Erin was telling herself she was stupid. No, you're telling yourself, I'm smart, I'm capable, I'm courageous. I even have my I am shirt on today because those are the things I tell myself. I am courageous. I am this, and those are statements that I speak to myself to help ingrain that in my subconscious mind and know that that's the person I'm being, and work on commit to being that person day in and day out. However, if you keep telling yourself negative things or you listen to the negativity around you, I mean, right now, if you are one of those people that watches mainstream media, first of all, stop. And second, because they are literally pulling a dump truck of garbage up to your head and dumping it into your ear. I mean, it's really just nothing but negative. And when you can turn those negatives into positives, I mean, you can create anything you want in your world, anything.
You can be, do, and have absolutely anything you want, but first you must become the person
Mhm.
whom that can happen for. And here's the thing too, you're 100% correct. Whatever you believe of yourself, that's who you are. That becomes your identity,
Mhm.
right? But here's the thing. Those beliefs are projections from other people.
Mhm.
That stuff other people have projected onto you,
Right.
right? But also, we humans are meaning-making machines. This is a whole podcast all about this, this part. So I'll just briefly touch on this stuff, and we can go more depth in another episode. We humans cannot help but create a meaning around anything. So something happens and we create this meaning, and most of the time it doesn't serve us.
Mhm.
So we are a compilation of experiences but how our neurology recorded stuff, recorded the event. This is why you can have a brother and sister who go through the same experiences. They have the same parents, they had the same childhood, but they have a completely different perception of it
Yep.
because their brains recorded all that stuff differently. They created different meanings, right? So
Yep.
whatever meaning you've chosen to believe about yourself, you become a slave to. So would you rather be a slave to, I'm stupid, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm too whatever, or be a slave to a voice, a belief that is, I rock,
Right.
I'm plenty good enough, I have inherent worth. We all have inherent worth. Nobody's better than anyone else. So it kills me when people think they have no worth, that everyone else has worth but them. How does that work?
Right.
That's a story you've been telling yourself and it's holding you back. And I want to just kind of state this before I forget this one. We become a slave to our beliefs about ourselves. But here's the thing. Most of the beliefs that really hold you back are below the level of your awareness.
Mm. Mm. Wow.
They're below the level of your awareness. They're in your unconscious mind. Most people think, oh, well, it's this belief about myself. When we go into the unconscious mind and uncover some stuff, and then it's like, oh my God, I had no idea I actually believed that
Mhm.
about myself. And that's what's been holding them back.
Oh, big time, big time. In fact, it was the very first day you and I met. It was, during the level one workshop where Brian Finale did his little hypnosis session where he's digging into the limiting beliefs, and it was literally I remember it like it was yesterday. It was literally that moment where I pulled one out that I had not even realized was there and been there for almost 30 years, and it was like light bulb. I was like, holy crap, and I've been able, and it was around a family member, and I've been asked not to actually tell what that living belief is, which is fine because him and I have great conversations about it. But it was identifying that when you identify it, it's easy to address. But if you don't even know it's there and you haven't spent the time to discover what that is, what you're really hanging on to deep down inside, then you're going to continue to hang on to it. So it's discovering, which is the first step. And when you discover that, then the addressing it is actually easier than most people think. It's actually discovering that's the challenge. It's going deeper and deeper and deeper, because most people pick out the surface level stuff, and it's usually not what the issue is. You really have to get in deep, and it really usually is something way back in your past that you have to address.
Always. It's
Yeah,
before the age of 5,
typically.
sometimes before the age of 7, pretty much always before the age of 5.
Hmm.
There's a whole reason for that.
Yeah, well, that's because we develop by the age of 7, and so we develop our personalities by the age of 7, typically.
Yeah, it goes really deep. Up until the age of 7, we're living in theta mode, right?
Mhm.
That's our brainwave state.
This episode is brought to you by 7K Metals. All your gold and silver needs go to 7K Metals. You can get all of your collectible coins or raw materials at cost, and the only true investment in your future is in gold and silver. There's all kinds of uncertainty around cryptocurrency and around virtual dollars. That this is the only solid investment is gold and silver. So go to 7kmetals.com/schmaltzy to check it out now and be a part of this amazing legacy of investing in gold and silver for your future and the future of your children.
And that is a state of imagination and hypnosis, by the way. But anything you hear before the age of 7 essentially can bypass the conscious mind and become directly imprinted into the subconscious mind. So there it hides, there it resides, and rears its ugly head, as that belief, the compound effect, the reticular activating system, that belief over time becomes reinforced.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So let's say a teacher made me feel stupid back when I was in kindergarten. Let's just say it started there. And then I'm in grade 1 and I do terrible on the math test. My brain is going, see, you're
Mm-hmm.
stupid, right?
Reinforcing. Yep. Reinforcing what you had already been told.
Yep. And then something else happens. And what your brain does, because it's fighting for survival, its main job is to keep you alive. So it has good intention, but sometimes it messes us up. And your brain will look for things in your life to prove that negative belief is true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that nice of it? It will look for things to prove to you that that belief you have is true when
Mhm.
it's actually a load of BS.
Right.
So
Oh,
I kind of
absolutely.
consider myself a root cause healer.
Yeah.
So I take people back to the root cause of that belief and blast it out and all the negative emotions around that. And it will blast that belief out from your entire life, your entire timeline.
Yeah, so I don't know how much you know about my corporate background, but I was actually a quality manager for many years, in quality assurance, quality control for many years. So when you say root cause, that's like a word that I've lived for well over 20 years, and I do the same thing. I try to get to the root of the problem. One of the techniques we used in the corporate world that I use in my coaching is asking is the why. And we used to call it 5 whys to try to find the root of a problem with a part or something like that. We would ask 5 whys. If you can't, you got to keep going until you get 5. And typically you can keep going. And I'll use that with people. They're like, well, I feel this way. Why? Well, and I mean, I'm not just going to say why. I'm going to say, why do you think you feel that way? But
Yeah.
I'll ask why and why and why until you get down. And sometimes you'll get to that problem in 3 whys. Sometimes it takes 12 whys. But I mean, by
Yeah.
asking, like the little kid that's always asking why, and you're getting annoyed, but in reality, they're just trying to figure out what's going on. It's the same thing.
You're making them dig.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that way? Why do you think that? Is that true? Why?
Right.
You're making them dig. And it's interesting because people are like have that aha moment like, "Oh my God, I didn't even know I had that belief." So you're making them dig deep to find it. Yeah, absolutely.
And not even dig deep to find it, as so many people don't understand the infinite intelligence they have within their own mind. I mean, we're so stuck on conscious mind surface level stuff. I mean, think about it. I mean, here's one of the most basic examples. If you cut your finger, are you sitting here saying heal finger heal? No, your subconscious mind and the infinite intelligence you have within you already is telling your body how to heal and putting those cells back together in the right order to heal. And it's that infinite intelligence is all around us, and with us specifically as humans, our minds are so powerful that we take it for granted. I mean, probably I don't know the number, but very high percentage of people out there do not use even what they already have. Not the
Mhm.
what people talk about using what percentage of your brain. People don't even use that percentage. It's
I
yeah.
mean, if your brain created it, your brain can change it.
Mm-hmm.
If you created it, you can change it.
You're right.
And we are, as you're saying, we are powerful beyond belief.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea how powerful we are. And I don't think, they really want us to know how powerful we are. Because if you did understand how powerful you are, you would probably be a completely different person.
Mm-hmm. Most people would.
You'd be more powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is I've talked about this in a couple other episodes also, but it's part of the reason why people are so afraid to discover what the power of their mind is they live in people pleaser mode. They're so worried about what somebody else is going to think about what they're studying, about what they're learning, about who they're trying to be, that they're afraid to try. It's like, for the love of God, slap yourself in the face, get some courage, buck up, grow some cojones, and actually just take action and do it.
The need for approval,
Right. Right. And
the need
yeah.
for acceptance. So at the end of the day, all human beings are scared little children, terrified of not being accepted and being alone. When you know that about people, you react to them much differently,
Mhm.
knowing that that's like the human condition kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But the need for acceptance and approval is such a driving force for so many people that they make themselves unhappy in order to please other people to get that acceptance and approval.
Right.
They'll
Right.
bend over backwards, make themselves miserable to make other people happy so that they don't have to deal with the feelings of somebody not liking them.
Right. And it's funny, so many times, like you said about making themselves miserable. And as entrepreneurs, we know the phrase buyer's remorse, but that's exactly what so many people get. They'll say yes to something and immediately regret it. Oh, I really didn't have time for that. Oh, why did I tell that person I was going to show up? Why did I do this? It's like because you were so worried about them being unhappy of you not, or you saying no, you're afraid of them, what they're going to say or what they're going to think when you say no, or you say you're not going to do something, or you're going to give an answer that they may not like. So the hell what? No is a completely acceptable answer and a complete sentence. It's like, so
It's
don't
a
be
good
afraid
word.
of.
No is a very good word.
Yeah.
And so many people, that comes also down to boundaries, right? They need, people need acceptance and approval so much so that they have no personal boundaries. And then the people around you realize you don't have any boundaries, so they will step all over your unexisting boundaries and take advantage of you.
Right.
Right? Like a lot of the training I have done is helping people set healthy boundaries. And if somebody doesn't like your boundary, why is that? Because they had every intention of stepping on your boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yep.
don't like that they can no longer take advantage of you. Like, how many times have you helped people move when you really didn't want to spend your entire weekend helping somebody move? Now, if you did want to help out your friend or family member, great. But if you really didn't want to do it and you did it anyway, then whose fault is that? You know, like there's no point in grumbling all weekend long
Right.
because you said yes.
Yep. Yep.
Tell them to hire movers.
Right. Right. No, you're exactly right. I mean, and there are times like that example, for example, where you do want to help out a friend. It may be a task you don't like to do, but you do want to help out the friend. However, you still had the personal choice. You still had that choice to say yes or no. Everything in our lives comes down to our own personal choice. It's so many people. They think, oh, I don't have a choice. What do you mean you don't have a choice? How many times have you heard somebody say that phrase and you just want to smack them? You're like, what do you mean you don't have a choice? Everything's about your choice. You know, it's ridiculous sometimes when I hear that from people.
It's what they're telling themselves to let themselves off the hook.
I like the
It's
word try.
it's yeah, it's like I don't have to take full full responsibility for this because I didn't have a choice. I had to. It's alleviating their own personal responsibility.
Yeah. 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 So it's funny, the people around me now, they know not to use certain phrases around me now because they know that I'm gonna pull on that thread. I mean, what do you mean you didn't have a choice? Let's talk about this. Or what do you mean you tried? You didn't commit? Let's have a conversation about that. You know, it's like there's so many times I have people go just like trying to say the right thing. And it's not about the right or wrong thing. They just know that hey, I'm a coach. I'm a guy that's all about choice, all about personal responsibility, all about not being a people pleaser. And I if you show any of those traits towards me, I'm gonna dig.
Personal autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
You always have a choice.
Yeah. So what you study, and you study now a lot about the subconscious mind and the mind in general and helping people rewire it. Who's your go-to either author or mentor or whatever when it comes to the power of the mind or the subconscious mind or something that really just sticks out for you when you've studied or learned?
Oh my gosh, so much. Well, it kind of all started with Joe Dispenza.
Yes,
That really got me on my path to realizing, you know, we can make ourselves sick, therefore we can make ourselves healthy.
mm-hmm.
I mean, it all really for me goes back to short story. I was driving with my dad. So this would have been, I think, 1978. So I would have been like 8 years old. We're driving along on the radio. CBC radio is playing the recordings of cult leader Jim Jones poisoning his congregation or whatever you want to call them,
Right,
his followers, his
right,
following. And we're listening to this recording and you can hear people screaming, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And my dad starts to explain to me he's poisoning his followers with the poison. That's where the Kool-Aid, don't drink the Kool-Aid term comes from. I know you know this, but for anyone out there, that's where the term comes from. Don't drink the Kool-Aid, because Jim Jones put poison in Kool-Aid and made all of his followers drink it, filled them all. So my dad was explaining to me this event that I think had just happened. And I'm like, how is it? So he starts telling me what a cult is, right? Like all these people will follow this one person and listen to them, and they will, they gave him all of his money. They sold everything they owned and followed him down to Guyana and gave him all of their money, and they're worshiping this person. And I was like, oh my God, how can this be possible? And he starts talking about brainwashing,
Right.
which made me absolutely horrified, but also fascinated that humans could be brainwashed this way. And that set me on the whole path about learning about how our neurology works, how our brains work. Right. And I became obsessed with the human mind at that age. When I was in grade 4, when other people were doing a report on cats or dogs, I was doing cults.
Yeah. Wow.
And
So
I
this
got
goes
into
way
like
back.
studying them. What's that?
I said, this goes way back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. To when I was a child. And I remember standing there in my bedroom thinking, if I wanted to, I could convince myself that the neighbors are aliens.
Yeah, you could.
I knew after learning about brainwashing that I could brainwash myself into believing the neighbors were aliens. So I understood the power of the mind when I was a child. And then I started, studying serial killers and just all the psychological things people suffer from, all of it. I just became obsessed with it. I'm surprised I didn't go like become a psychologist. But when I was in grade 12, I wanted to travel. So I ended up moving to Europe and all that kind of thing, and then getting married and having kids and all of that. So I'm kind of going back into my love of the human mind
Yeah.
and, figuring people out and helping them, create a better program for themselves, change up the program. But yeah, recently when I started my business, 11 years ago, Joe Dispenza was like my launching pad for um the new mindset stuff that I got into. But I just always looking for new information from different people. God, there's so many people. Well, Brian Finale does a lot of mindset stuff, so that kind of pushed me into that area as well. I can't even come up with any names now, but I follow like a lot of psychologists, a lot
Yeah.
of people who study trauma,
Yeah.
all the things. I got wickedly into NLP, neuro linguistic programming,
Nice.
back in 2015. Got certified for the level 1 of that. I went through the level 1 training twice, got my master practitioners last November, upgraded in down in California recently on all things to do with NLP and the human mind and human behavior and all of this kind of stuff. I study influence, state control, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah, I can see that. And well, and it's funny you bring up Brian Finale because he actually worked with Joe Dispenza before, before I got involved with him as one of our mentors. And Joe Dispenza is always a great one. It's funny. That's usually the first name that comes to my mind as well. When I first got his first book, what was his first book? Breaking.
You are the placebo.
That's not the first one. No,
Yeah, it is. And then breaking the habit of being yourself. I'm pretty sure.
Evolve Your Brain is the first one. Evolve Your Brain is the one.
Okay.
The one where he talks about his accident where he broke his back. And well, I could be wrong about that too. That's the one I remember, the one where he broke his back and he tells his story about how he healed his own back with the power of his mind. And he was already into hypnosis, and then he studied it even more. And then, he was teaching his own body how to heal a back that the doctors told him he couldn't do without surgery, couldn't do without Harrington bars, which for those that don't know, those are like literal bars that they drill into your spine to try to keep it from try to keep it from compressing against your discs and everything. It was literally they wanted to put those into his back. And they said, you won't lose your mobility. He's like, bull, yeah, I will. And so
he was a chiropractor, so he understood.
Correct. And so he continued to study while he was laid up. And what they told him would be 12 to 16 weeks of recovery. He was up and walking around in 6. And just all from, he said, he talks about it in that story about how he was doing self-hypnosis for 2 to 4 hours a day. And he was talking to his own body, trying to heal itself and how to heal it and where to put the bones back. He studied pictures of a healthy spine and what he was telling his body to go back to. And then now to, be up and walking in 6 weeks and back working as a chiropractor in 10 weeks for somebody who had multiple broken vertebrae in their back, exploded discs. You're like, most people would be done. And he just like completely healed himself. And so to your point, it was the kind of the same story that got me going into the subconscious mind. Although when I first got his book, it's like this thick, it's like super thick. And I'm like, so it's, instead of reading it, I got it on Audible right away and started listening to it. So the first time through, I listened to it and then I read it later. And then immediately following, I didn't get into his later books until a little while later, but then I listened, or I read The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Anything Dr. Joe Vitale or Jack Canfield, they all talk about the subconscious mind and the laws of attraction and how that works. But to your original point, Dr. Joe Dispenza is literally kind of the trigger for me as well.
Yeah, I had attended all his live events. I like live events.
Nice.
It really, again, you're listening to it and you're doing so much meditation while you're there. You're in trance hypnosis, so that you really absorb it. So I've done all his levels: progressive, advanced follow-up. I did them all within 6 months of each other.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm obsessed with this stuff. So it's like, oh, next level's coming up kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Your mind is so powerful. I've met so many people at his events who have healed themselves from all kinds of things. And when you think about it, it makes perfect sense when we're simply energy, light, vibration, and frequency.
Yes.
So if you get good at using your energy, it's the first time I realized how I could move energy was at his event. It was supposed to be a 4-hour meditation. We went into the room at 3:30 a.m. and it ended up being 4.5 hours. And I'm like, I can't shut my brain down for a minute. How am I going to do 4 hours? But so you're laying on the floor with like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 800 other people. Some people are snoring. For me, I'm a terrible sleeper anyway. So this is when I really realized that I could move energy around my body like crazy. I just have to think about a spot in my body and boom, it's going to buzz with energy. So this really made me believe in the power to use your own thoughts, energy, vibration, frequency to heal yourself. To control your moods for one thing and your behavior, but to truly heal yourself. So when you experience something, you can't help but believe it.
Yeah. No, you're right. And when you experience something like that, so when you were doing that 4 hours of meditation, 4+ hours, was that a guided meditation or just everyone being quiet, doing their own thing?
I don't even remember.
Yeah. Because I'm like you.
On that particular meditation, I don't remember if he was speaking the whole time or not. I have a feeling that he probably spoke for the first hour or whatever and then let everyone zone out, because I think it was the advanced follow-up, like you never know what you're gonna go through when you go to a Joe Dispenza event.
Right.
It's always completely different. So I think it was the advanced follow-up where we get there and we learned that our sessions were going to be from 11:30 p.m. until 7 or 7:30 a.m. And then we go out on the beach and do a walking meditation.
Mm.
So pretty much everyone's like, oh God, all night? Like totally mess up your schedule, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But for those, we would go into the room at 11:30. Before we attended that event, we had to do what is called a mind movie.
yeah. Mm.
It's essentially, there's a company out there called Mind Movie. You can Google it. And you can put together your own personal movie. And it'll be personal clips of essentially things you want to manifest. And then you put it to your own music and all of that. It's like your own personal manifestation tool.
Yeah, okay.
So we had to arrive with that. So when we came into the room at 11:30 p.m., he would talk for, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour, if I remember correctly. And then we would do this thing. We were in chairs, but we also had almost like a little bedding set up. You know, people brought pillows from their room and maybe a blanket and all that kind of thing. And then, because it was at nighttime, so he would talk, and then it was basically like, go to sleep. So everyone would lay down and go to sleep. Pretty much everyone would sleep but me.
This episode is brought to you by podmatch.com. For all your podcasting needs, if you're somebody who wants to be a guest on different podcasts, then this is the place for you. I was literally booked on 31 different podcasts in less than 30 days. And as a podcast host, I've been able to find everybody I needed for mine. So if you're trying to get on a podcast or you need people on your podcast, this is the place for you. Go to joinpodmatch.com/bschmaltzy to sign up today. You won't be disappointed, and your podcast experience will be that much better because of it.
But then, so then he would wake you up. I have no idea how long that was. If it was 20 minutes, 45 minutes, no idea. There's no clocks, right? So you'd wake up and you'd grab your paper and pen and you would try to write down your dreams if you remember them, if you were sleeping, right? And then when you said, finished with that, you jump up into your chair. I might have the sequence of it wrong, but this is the gist of it. And then we would watch our mind movie, our personal mind movie. I think we had headphones and then when he stopped you doing that, you'd look up and he had these huge screens of kaleidoscopes running. So you'd like stare into the kaleidoscope, which puts you into trance,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
And then he would repeat the cycle of doing this. Again, I don't remember how many times it was during the night. If I had to guess, it was 6 or 7 times during the night. And you would just go through this cycle. It was very, very cool.
That
It's
is.
all really, I mean, it's, for many, many benefits, but helping you really learn to meditate, put yourself into trance, change your thinking, all of it. Like so many benefits from doing that. But it was wild. Like nobody knew what to expect. It's like, oh, wasn't expecting this at all. I
Right.
thought I was going to just listen to him talk for 5 days and then we do meditations and all this kind of thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you go to these workshops, you study. You're a studyaholic for the power of the mind. What do you do, or for people listening out there, what are some good things that you might do on a daily basis to really reinforce that subconscious mind or help your subconscious mind?
One thing, I was just working with a new client yesterday, and I'm starting her off with becoming really, really aware of what you're saying to yourself. This is like the basic stuff that you can do for yourself, right? Because if you're going to go into the unconscious mind, it's really great to have a trained professional take you on that journey because you don't know what you're going to find. So you want to be working with someone who knows how to help you
Mm-hmm.
in those situations. So, but what you can do for yourself on a daily basis is becoming uber aware of your own thoughts, what you're saying to yourself about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then calling yourself out on it,
Yep.
right? So for me, it'd be, oh, you're so stupid. And then you go, wait, is that true? Or is this a bullshit story I've been telling myself my entire life, or, since I was
Yep.
5 or what have you? So you start calling yourself out on it and self correcting.
Yep.
No, that is just my story. It's not even true,
Yep.
right? Start calling yourself out on your own BS that you're saying to yourself. Start there, because if you do that long enough, often enough, you're going to hear that voice telling you, this BS belief less and less and less, until it just disappears, kind of thing.
Right.
I almost consider it like you've got almost, do you remember Tom and Jerry, the cartoon
Of
Tom and
course.
Jerry?
Of course.
I remember an episode where Tom had like an angel and a devil on each shoulder, right? I kind of think of it that way. Like, the devil is the one telling you, oh, you're worthless, you're not lovable, you're not good enough, you're stupid, whatever it may be. You got that little voice in your ear telling you that crap. Exactly. Seriously, physically, flick it off. When something goes behind you, it's done,
Mhm.
neurologically speaking.
Yep.
That's why we say, oh, that's behind me. It's literally behind you. That's where your brain sees it as behind. There's a whole bunch of science into that
Yeah.
whole bit. But like literally flick it off, not just in your imagination, but you get your body involved, because it's actually lighting up different parts of the brain when you get your body involved too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I like when you talk about verbalizing it as well. And when it comes to your thoughts and your speak, I literally I do this myself. And I coach other people to do this, is when you're getting a negative thought about yourself, specifically about yourself, other negative thoughts in general, you can do this, but when more specifically about yourself, like if you're even thinking that thought, I am stupid, I will literally say out loud, stop, and then readjust that. And because there's a psychology behind the verbalizing that, what, just like you're talking about with the motion of knocking the devil off your shoulder, there is a psychology behind what you're doing to your brain by verbalizing that stop. I can't count how many times I have people look at me weird because I'll be sitting in the middle of like a quiet room, go stop, and they're like, what? They're like, what did I do? I'm no, it's not you. I'm just me. Stop. um, but it is the using your physical being and verbalizing can really help reinforce that. And I love that you're talking about start by identifying, being aware of where you're speaking negative about yourself, and negative in general, but more specifically about yourself. Um, it's amazing
Mm.
how it's amazing how much better, much more positive the people around you react when you're being positive yourself. People that may have previously been more negative Nellies, now that you're nothing but positive, they're not. They're starting to speak more positive about themselves, about this things around them. But it takes us to lead by that example a lot of times for that to happen.
That's a whole podcast right there.
Yes, it is.
State, the state you are in, how it affects other people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is why you have to choose who you're around so carefully, because you can't help on picking up on someone else's stuff, their negativity, right? If you've ever wondered why after spending time with a negative family member, your whole entire day seems to suck, or you're in a bad mood, it's because of the mirror neurons
Yeah. Yeah.
that are connecting. You're connecting with that person on a very deep level,
Yeah.
and you're picking up on that stuff. And now, boom, it's part of you for a while.
Yeah.
That changes your state of being. So you're in control of that.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's still all down to our choice. We have the choice. One of my favorite phrases I use with people, and I say this all the time. I said, you know what? We're human beings. It's okay to wake up on the wrong side of the bed. However, it is your choice whether you stay there or not. I mean, I literally use that with almost anybody. Because again, you have the choice whether you're going to have a good day or going to have a bad day. And everyone has bad dreams every once in a while. It's not going to, but when you wake up and you're in a bad mood because you've dreamt something bad, cool. Get up and do something positive to counter that and get your day back in line. Start your day off with something inspirational, motivational, whether it's a meditation, a video, declarations or affirmations, whatever works for you. You have the choice to do that. And the other aligned with that I use a lot is there's no such thing as a bad day. You may have a moment or two in your day that weren't preferred or were negative, or and you hung on to that. Oh, I'm having a bad day. Really? Okay, tell me about that. Why are you having a bad day? And you can always narrow it down to one thing. It's like, really? So you're not having a bad day. You're having this moment in time that wasn't preferred. Cool. Like you said, brush that off, get that out the way, and then go back and have a good day. But that, however, that's the way we're programmed. That's the way we're taught. We're taught to hang on to that garbage.
Yeah. And that bad moment, whatever that thing was, someone pissed in your cornflakes, right? And then you allow it to taint your entire day. Here's the negative energy. And then you hold on to that negative energy throughout your entire day. No wonder you're going to have a bad day.
Right.
So you want to get really good at when something happens like that, on being able to change your vibration like at the drop of a hat.
Right.
Nope, this is not going to be the taint my entire day. I'm going to get myself out of this little emotional rut kind of thing, lift my vibration so that the rest of my day I'm in that vibration, that energy.
Yeah. Big time. Big time. And it's funny. Anika spent a lot of time back in Seattle over the last several months with her mom being sick and everything. And I can always tell the difference because her side of both our sides of the family actually are pretty negative, but part of why moving to Florida was so great for us. But she spends that much time and then she comes back here and she's got that speak and that talk and that vibe. And I'm like, look, we need to get you back on this morning routine because this is dragging us both down. It's like and then as soon as you call her out, she's like, wait, you're right. I hear myself now, and she'll snap right out of it. But it's when you're around that, even when we go back for the holidays, I sit around her family or my family going, holy wow, you guys really think this way? It's really speak this way? They do. And again, it's not, I don't mean to call them out specifically. It's people in general that tend to talk that way. And I don't know, because it's been so long since I thought that way. I mean, I look back now and I know I used to be that way. I used to be super negative. I used to be a people pleaser. And I can't even remember what that was like now, because I'm so far past that. It's like, I mean, even when I talk to people that I knew from years ago, I don't have those thoughts or those feelings anymore. So it's weird when I'm around folks like that, when you're just trying to go, why do you think that way? Huh? It's interesting.
Notice it a lot more.
Oh, big time. Oh, back to awareness. That's increasing awareness in general, whether it's about your talk or it's about your thoughts or just awareness in general, is a huge thing. And sometimes it starts outside of your thoughts and speak to be able to open that up. And one of the practices I have people do when I can tell that they're really having an awareness issue, like they're resisting opening up that awareness, is I'll have them drive a different way to work or school or the grocery store. Like they're used to going this direction right here. This is what I think is the fastest way. Cool. I want you to take the scenic route out here, and either I'll even have them pull up a Google map and go, here, go this way. And the just sheer aha moments that people have just from going that other path, they're like, oh, look at the yard in that house. Oh, I didn't know that restaurant was there. But look, just all of a sudden the light bulb goes off of all these things they didn't know they didn't know, and it's amazing to see that light bulb. And then when you can create that light bulb and keep it shining down into their personal awareness, the sky's the limit.
100%. Even just shifting your route home or to work kind of thing, and noticing different things, or playing a new game, or anytime you do something new, it's creating new neural pathways in the brain.
Yes.
So what happens is people get stuck in such a routine. I get up at 7, I go pee, I look in the mirror, I go make coffee, right? And you're living this life on like a robot, like every day is the same. You stop making those new connections in your brain.
Yeah.
So changing things up, you got to change things up. Stir the pot once in a while, do different things. This is why, like, learning something new and driving a different route. It sounds so small, but it's not. When you
No.
make your brain work and see different things, it creates new pathways.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I was at a workshop, well, an experience. They called it an experience. It was a workshop. it was, it's in February. And one of the things the guy, Devin, friend of mine, actually I have a call with him next week. He said that he gave us like a list, here's some actions to take. I mean, there's lots of things that we took away from that weekend. He's like, here's the 7 things I want you to do for the next 90 days. And some of them, let me rephrase that. There was like 3 things to do for the next 90 days. The others were just actions. And he's like, one of them was go home and rearrange some furniture, change things. And I'm like, nobody else did. To my knowledge, nobody else really did this. And I went home and I'm like, Anika was still in Seattle at this time. So it was just my son and I, Marcus and I come home and he's like, what are you doing? I'm moving couches around and chairs all over the living room. I went from one side to
That's
the
always his
other.
mind.
I showed before and afters, and he's like, yeah, he's like, I'm like, do you like it better this way? He's, meh, I don't care. I'm like, all right, fine. Well, it's changed. So, and moved it all around. And it's like you said, it's not just the rewiring those neural pathways and creating the new awareness, it's change. In general, people are afraid of change. Even if they know that change is for the better, they're still afraid of change. So do something like that, something simple, like driving a different path to the grocery store, to work, or moving some furniture around. Like, now that we're having this conversation, I'm probably going to rearrange this office. But
I'm just having the memory of when you were a kid.
Mhm.
Did you do this in your room like once a year? You just change everything around?
Mhm.
I did.
Yeah.
Interesting. But also, our neurology likes what is familiar.
Oh,
Your
big time.
neurology will always search for what is familiar.
Yep. Oh, big time. Exactly. So it's fun though, and now that I'm having this conversation, I'm thinking about a few things that I probably need to do again myself. It's been a while. Like I said, I am going to rearrange this office now that we're having the conversation.
So next podcast, it's going to look completely different.
Yes, it will. It will. The desk will be the other way, facing the window, and yeah. Anyway,
It's great.
um,
I love it.
so I love this topic. I seriously could talk about this topic for forever because just the amount of change that I've seen between my wife and I alone over the years that you and I have known each other has just been phenomenal. And then the people around me and changing those people that have been around, like you're talking about. I've eliminated so many negative people from our lives. And, there's some that I thought maybe if I was more positive, I gave them the old college try, like, hey, if I'm maybe a little more positive, I lead by example. Maybe they'll come along kind of like these folks with the exception of their negativity. And unfortunately not. And, and some of those you can't eliminate, some of those are family, but you can definitely reduce the amount of time you're around those folks. So the main thing is, feed your brain with, like you said, not only knowledge, but positive knowledge and learn how you can create that best world for yourself.
I mean, the truth is we're creating our own reality.
Mm-hmm.
So why not take charge in creating that rather than just kind of going along for the ride and being a victim of circumstance, right?
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. So you don't have to be. It's being the victim of circumstance. That reminds me, I mentioned it. I have a chapter in my book called throw out the victim card, because everybody likes to hang on to the victim card. So many people. I actually downloaded, somebody mocked one up online. I actually downloaded the victim card, and I pull it out every once in a while in posts. But it's so everyone's so used to saying this happened to me versus saying this happened for me, or what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? What can I create from this? The same guy Devin I was talking about, this is one that I actually just used yesterday. He talks about the distinction between the reported world and the created world. So the reported world is what people are telling you, and the created world is what you do with what they've said. And so it could be like, one of the examples was, they tell you that they gave away your seat on a plane. Well, you're like, oh, well, I acknowledge what you're telling me. Now, what can we create out of this? Can we create another flight? Can we find another way to make this happen? What can we do with this? So you can acknowledge what people have said or what you've seen in the world, but it doesn't mean you have to live with it. You can create what you want from that.
That's exactly, that's acting as a creator rather than the victim. Oh, poor me, life sucks. Now I don't have a flight. I'm not
Right.
gonna be late. And going down that road, that used to be me.
Yeah.
That used to be me. I would like freak out in, at a drop of a hat rather than. So coming at life from a place of curiosity and playfulness, an attitude of curiosity and playfulness will change your life. So
Absolutely.
instead of freaking out because now I can't get on this plane and all this kind of thing, it's like, this is interesting. Why did I create this for
Yeah.
myself?
Yeah.
Why did I create this to happen? What am I meant to get from this? What am I meant to learn? This will change your life.
Oh, big time. Big time. Big time. So quick announcement for everybody, because this has been an amazing show, and we could literally talk for 2 more hours and and some. We'll save that for the future. And the reason why I'm saying that is that the big announcement is that my friend here, Erin Birch, is going to be co-hosting this show, the Wake the Bleep Up show, moving forward. There may be a couple episodes where I still do myself because of scheduling conflicts, but moving forward, we will be co-hosting the show. We're very much aligned in our thoughts. Plus, now you're going to have a male and female perspective for each one of our guests. And Erin, I mean, real quick, what are your thoughts on being a co-host of the show?
Oh, I'm thrilled to do this with you. And I have to say, I'm going to touch on what you just said, a male and female perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Males and females are different,
Yeah. Yes.
masculine, feminine energy, right? So that, I think that is, I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And between us, there's so many things we enjoy talking about and so many amazing people
Yeah.
that this is just, it's perfect. It's perfect.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be
I'm
great.
so looking forward to this. The conversations that we're going to be having, helping, people enlighten themselves and grow and learn and become their best selves.
Yeah.
And just, I'm really excited for this podcast.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So before we wrap this up, uh, two things. One, where can everyone find you? Let's let everyone know where the best places to find you are, and I'll make sure they're in the description of this episode when it posts.
I love connecting with people on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
having conversations with people in Messenger. So you can always find me on Facebook, Erin Birch. Erin Birch, you'll find it. And then I do have a website, but I haven't really been good about keeping it up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of outdated, but my website is erinbirchcoaching.com.
Mm-hmm.
So Facebook really for now is really my favorite way to connect with people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's my go-to as well. I mean, I've got a pretty decent LinkedIn account with lots of followers, and I post on there, and I have my Facebook connected to my Instagram, so I get people following me there. But really, that's where I'm like you. I spend my time on Facebook typically.
Yeah, it's my fave because it's so much easier to connect with people,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
communicate.
So, okay, cool. So what are some last thoughts you'd like to leave our audience with before we wrap this up?
Definitely become aware of what you're saying to yourself so that you can self-correct that.
Mm-hmm.
I would absolutely start there.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to touch on the other thing. What I also teach this to my clients all the time. Whenever something happens, good, bad, ugly, I even do this like after talking to somebody in line at the grocery store. Huh, that was interesting. I wonder why I created that situation to talk to this person. But this works really beautifully for you when something less than positive happens. Why did I You can't play the victim card if you're looking for why you created it to happen in the first place and what you can get from it, what you can learn from it. You can't be a creator and a victim at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to leave you with that. You cannot be a victim and a creator at the same time. So today, make a choice. Which one you want to be.
That's right. That's right. All right, everybody. Find Erin, Erin Birch on Facebook, erinbirchcoaching.com. Always make sure you're being a creator, not a victim, because you can't be both at the same time. Thank you for being here on the Wake the Bleep Up show, Erin.
Thank you for having me, Tony.
All right, everybody. See you later.